that's how you gather their information. Sorry, I have my little assistant here running around. Where's the bell? Sorry. Hello, everyone. This is Elizabeth Gutierrez, and today's my first time going live ever, so I'm kind of excited about this. And I'm also doing my podcast here with Get Real Estate with Liz, and I also posted, if you guys have any real estate questions that you guys want me to go over. I had one person, actually a couple people, send me a message, and one of them was, what's the credit score that you need to purchase a home? And that's actually a great question because it just depends on the program. So there's so many different programs. You can buy a house with as little as like a 580 credit score, but it's basically like full doc, verifying all your income, your assets, everything. And that's on an FHA, but also depending on the credit score, it's what determines your interest rate. So obviously the better your credit score is, the less your interest rate will be. The lower your credit score, then obviously the higher the rate. So that was one of the questions that somebody had asked. And hi, Jonathan. And so anyway, so that was the question. What's the lowest credit score? And the lowest credit score is 580. And that's with an FHA loan. And then there's the higher your credit score, the lesser your interest rate. And then I believe the second question is, somebody asked, I have an I-10 and my husband is the one with the social. Can we still purchase? Absolutely. So just so you know, every program defaults to the worst case scenario program. So for example, if I'm an estudiante del DACA, you have a category that you fall into. And even though somebody else, your significant other or friend or family has, a regular social security number, then it defaults to that program. The same thing with the I-10. So even though your husband does have a real social security number and you have an I-10, it automatically will default to the I-10 program. So then every program has different, loan requirements. Your debt to income ratio, which the debt to income ratio means, how much money do you make versus how much debt do you have? Obviously it doesn't necessarily mean your overall debt, like, oh, I owe 50,000. They look at your monthly debt. So say you have a $3,000 loan, but your payment is $500 versus a $50,000 loan and your payment is only $20, then it doesn't matter if you owe 50,000. They don't care because it's only a $20 monthly expense. That's how basically they calculate your debt to income ratio. It's on a monthly basis. How much money do you make on a monthly basis versus how much money goes out for expenses. And so in that case, like I said, it will default to your I-10 number. And then also depending on the bank, they have a minimum of a down payment for 10%, 15%, 20%. I even saw 30%. Right now I have a local lender actually that does 3.5% for I-10s. Obviously they're a little bit more restricted. They do require more paperwork, more guidelines. They're a little bit more strict on your debt to income ratio. Instead of 55% debt to income ratio, they might be at 40 or 45. So those are things that are very important for you guys as an individual to reach out to either myself or a local lender, or I can refer you to a lender if you don't have anybody in particular. feel free to reach out to different ones to get different scenarios and see which one's the best match for you and your particular scenario, because everybody's scenario is completely different. I always tell my clients, each client is individually analyzed because not everybody has the same credit score, not everybody has the same debt, not everybody has the same income. So it's very important to see your individual needs and obviously your wants. I have another question, which is kind of the same. Can I purchase a home with an I-10? And can I still use that income if I don't qualify for it? And that's a great question. Legal lender here, but I do have a background of lending. I did lending for 10 years, believe it or not. I worked for CMS, Capital Mortgage Services, back in the day, and now I'm a realtor, so I know the back end and the front end of real estate. So yes, to answer your question, you can buy a house with your I-10 number. It's just sometimes they do require a little bit more money as a down payment. And again, another, what's a good credit score and down payment to have in general? And that's actually kind of important. I always tell my clients, even though there's a lot of programs out there with no money down, like there's USDA. USDA is for rural areas, such as like here in our Central Coast will be like Oceano, San Miguel, Shandon, sometimes even Paso and Atascadero in some areas. It just depends on the particular home. You will have to reach out to the lender or myself, and I can look into to see if that particular home actually qualifies for a USDA. And USDA is one loan, 100% financing, basically no money down, no down payment. There's also CalHAFA, which is down payment assistance, and CalFHA. And then there's also grants from individual cities such as Lompoc, and just depending on the area that you guys are looking to buy, it's very important to reach out and see if there's any grants that the city's actually giving for you guys to actually buy there. So
well, now it's back. If they can see you.
Can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? I could. Hello, everyone. Okay, where are we going? Right here?
Wherever you want. Just walk and talk.
I don't know. So, like I said, this is my first time doing this live. And so if anyone has any questions, any concerns that they want me to address, I will be more than happy to do so. Comment below or send me a message so I can answer your questions. As I already asked.
Yeah. You want to talk? Do you talk about USDA loans being local too, like in town, or no?
Yeah. So, like I said, USDA loans. It just depends. Most of the time, the USDA stands for rural areas, basically. Like Shandon here in Paso Robles, it will be Shandon, San Miguel, outskirts of the city limits. But some of the houses within the city do also qualify for USDA. So that's why I'm saying it's important to see if that individual property that you're looking at might qualify for that program. And that program is 100% financing, no money down. I didn't really finish that question about, what was the last question? I believe, how much money do you need to put for a down payment? I would say, as just like there's a lot of programs with no money down, I still, recommend for you guys to put 3.5% down. I have my little assistant. Anyways, 3.5% down, which is 3,500 for every 100,000. So if the house was 100,000, then you would at least need to save 3,500. If it's 200, it's 7,000. If it's 400, it's 14, and it keeps going up, right? So even though you might not need it, it is important to at least have that cushion there, purchase price. And on FHA, it gives you a little bit more debt to income ratio. So therefore, you're able to qualify for more money. So instead of you might qualify with the 3% on a convention in good faith, just so that you can hold basically the house. It's showing interest that it's showing that you have interest in that property. So it's kind of like when you rent a space for a party and they ask you for a deposit. It's kind of the same thing. So the money stays in escrow for the term of the escrow. It can be 30, 2 weeks, 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, depending on the escrow. And it stays there, and it's protected by contingency. So we have 3 days to make that deposit in good faith. The standard is usually around 1%. In the contract, it states 2%, but we can get away with 1%. So in case, for example, if the house is 500,000, then it will be 5,000 or up to 10,000. Anything above that, that's kind of a higher risk. But the higher the earnest money deposit, the more the seller thinks, that you really, really have more interest in that property. So sometimes sellers don't always look at price. They look at, the contingencies. Are you removing contingencies? Are you lowering your contingency days? Are you doing a higher earnest money deposit to show in good faith that you really do want this property? And then keep in mind that money is protected. Me as your agent or any other agent out there is supposed to be there for the best interest of you. So therefore, that money is protected by contingencies. So we don't remove contingencies, and we protect that money until we know for sure that basically inspections are good, appraisal is good, and loan is good. Because once we release all those contingencies, you have the possibility of losing that deposit. It's still going? Okay. So how do I get paid was the question. So for the most part, we had been getting paid by the seller side. So the seller side basically, have you done any upgrades? Have you done anything to, if we are in a high demand market where there's a lot of buyers and not a lot of properties, then we can, market it aggressively. If it's seller's market, then we have to, market it at least a little bit less, so that we can get at least people coming into your property. We need the point here is to get more people in your door so that we can have multiple offers, or at least a little bit more. Is it frozen still? No? Okay. And then I do a free market analysis. I see what has sold in the neighborhood, and I also compare properties that are the same square footage around the same year, because it is very important to do comps based on your house. You can't compare apples to oranges. It will have to be like apples to apples. And then also it's very important for me to go look at your property and see if you have done any upgrades, if anything has changed, because even though your neighbor's house might have sold, maybe they did, upgrade on the kitchen, on the bathrooms, or maybe they haven't done anything. So it's important for us to come up with a price based on all these key factors. So I do a free market analysis. I go to your property, I go look at it. I give you my suggested price, but at the end of the day, it's ultimately your decision. And obviously, I show you facts. And that's how I pretty much do my work. I show you facts, and then at the end of the day, it's your decision.
How can I prepare my house to sell?
That's a great question. So curb appeal is very important. That's first impression. It's kind of like when you're on a date, right? So a lot of the times, the first impression is very, very important. It's key. It's a key factor. So I always tell my clients, curb appeal, cut the grass, at least, pick up a little bit, declutter. A lot of the times we as individuals, we want to put pictures of our family and our kids and our grandkids, but the point is that you want people to walk into your house and feel like that's their home, not your home, because now they won't really see themselves in your home because they see your stuff. You don't have to go out and throw everything out in storage or go buy new stuff. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, just kind of declutter and just keep in mind that you're selling your house to become somebody else's home, and you want to be able to for them to come and see the wide open spaces and actually see that there's enough space in that property, because when we have too much stuff, then they can't really see themselves living there. So curb appeal, very important. If there's major, things that need a little bit of repairs, like nothing like um, little, like little things. I would say more like major things, like a big hole. I would say patch it. At least the carpet clean so you don't see a bunch of stains. People want to buy move-in ready nowadays. They don't really want to go and buy a house that needs a lot of work. Most of the time, when you do find buyers that are willing to take on, they'll lowball your offer because they're just like, hey, well, I'm going to have to spend $1,000 to do this or $5,000 to do that. And so even though they might not need to spend that much money, they're going to lowball you on something that you could have just easily, cut the grass or easily, cover the hole or whatever the scenario is.
What qualities or certifications set you apart from other agents?
I always tell my clients that they're entitled to, the sun shines bright on everyone. I always say, and sometimes people are going to do business with you if they like you and they trust you. Not necessarily like certificates or anything like that, but I do speak Spanish. I do go over and beyond for my clients. I do travel. I go that extra mile for them. I'm not saying that others don't, but I'm just saying what I can offer. So,
Jeffrey Myers joined.
hi, Jeffrey. So basically, I can just tell you what I can offer. I'm very transparent. I'm very honest. Sometimes I have to say bad news, but I don't want to, but I have to. I focus on the facts. I have good communication skills. I generally care for the best interest of my clients, and I'm here as a friend to not just only you be another transaction, but actually generally care for your needs. I want a lot of things, but what's important and what do I need for me and my family is what I focus on. And as far as certifications, we all have the same real estate license. We all go through that process, and we have to renew our license every 4 years. I was part of the Women's Council of Realtors. I represented women in real estate. I was the vice president, and then I became the president. I've been involved in the board. I've been part of a lot of organizations here around in our community, so I'm well known through that. Helping the youth, I sponsor a lot of the career days for elementary schools and middle schools and even high schools. I volunteer in a lot of fundraising events and very involved in school, sports, and the community. What's the other question?
So far, Win 100G joined. Inspired by Ava joined.
Hi, Eva. Hi, everyone.
Scarlett Gomez is watching.
Hi, Scarlett.
Taylor Mason.
Hi, Taylor.
When should you be talking to a realtor?
Anytime. I always tell my clients, reach out to any realtor, loan officer, whenever you have any questions or concerns. It is very important to find out exactly where you stand right now, because a lot of the times what I tell my clients is, I go to the grocery store, I go to the gas station, they're like, oh, I'll call you when I'm ready. I'll call you when this and that, or how's the market, but I'll call you when I'm ready. And I always tell my clients, it's important to reach out to a lender or to myself, a realtor, to find out exactly what your needs are and where you stand right now. Because say the opportunity comes in, but you're not prepared, you're going to miss out on that opportunity. So it is very important to find out exactly where you stand, because if for whatever reason you don't qualify right now, or at least not for what you want, then let's come up with a plan to get you there eventually. So what do we need to get you there? Is it more income? Is it, working on your credit score? Is it paying down some of your debt? We won't know unless we analyze each individual client. And so you can say, oh, next year, and then next year never really comes. So the first step is reach out to somebody. Let's see what we can do for you. And then we'll just go from there. I mean, if it doesn't work out, it's okay. Let's find out why not. And if it does, then great. Let's get some showing started.
Tay115 asks, what is a good credit score to buy a house to keep in mind for the future?
So I already went over this question. I can repeat it again. So you can buy a house with a little, or worst case scenario, 580 credit score, but keep in mind that you will have a higher interest rate, or your payment's going to be a little bit higher. So then it will give you less purchasing power. So obviously the higher the credit score, the better the rate you will get. And that again goes back to not just the credit score, it goes to your debt to income ratio. How much money do you make versus how much debt do you have? And then also if you're going to put money down, are you not going to put money down? What type of program you qualify for? Where are you looking to buy? Those are all major key factors. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, where you can have to find the little pieces and then eventually, create a big picture for you as an individual.
How many houses have you sold this last year?
This last year,
Closed, technically.
I've been averaging about 4 or 5 this year. So I would say January, February. Yeah, I literally am about to cap for EXP, in 2 months. I just started and at the end of March. So April and May, and I'm at 77%. I know it's kind of hard for me to explain the cap situation, but that's like how we get paid. But January, February, March, and April and May, I would say about 15 maybe, or a little bit more than that. I'm not really sure exactly.
That's it. How have people been able to reach you? What you've noticed, how people reach you?
A lot of my clients have been referrals and word of mouth, and then obviously Instagram. They've been reaching out to me because they saw their friend or their family purchase a house or sold their house. So then they're like, oh, help me. I need your help. And absolutely, I'm here to help you and answer all your questions and hopefully eventually get you guys into your own home, your own place to call home.
How long have you been licensed real estate agents?
So I've been licensed since 2019, January of 2000. Well, technically I got my license in December of 2018, Christmas Day, believe it or not. So that was my Christmas present, but I didn't become officially until January 1st, 2019. And I've been doing the real estate side of it ever since. Before that, I managed a helicopter company and a body shop. And then also I did mortgage loans, back in the day. So I know that side of the lending because I was a loan officer for, I would say, like 10 years.
If someone wanted to be a realtor, what advice would you give? That's from Tay115.
I always tell everybody, just do it. You won't know unless you try it. And it's pretty easy, but at the same time, it's pretty hard, because you have to be self-motivated. You have to be a go-getter, and you have to be willing to learn and be able to manage your income, because you can, how do you say it? If you are in a commission only, you don't have a steady income. So you have to learn to manage that. And I think what helped me was a salesperson. I used to sell cars for a Tascadero Ford. And so I learned that managing and saving and all that stuff, you know, from that particular job. And it helped me overcome objections and be a people person. But I say go for it. Like I said, you can take an online course and you can take that licensing within a month and a half to as long as it takes you, because everybody's different. Or you can take courses on community college, and usually it's about like 2 or 3 semesters, depending on, you know, how long it takes you, basically. But I say try it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least if you don't try it, you won't know. And there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help. I mean, if you need help, reach out to me in a private message, and I would love, you know, to help you out. Definitely. And you can help me with my open houses and can go door knocking with me.
Talk about a little bit about that, like kind of like cold calling.
Yeah, so cold calling is basically, well, there's a lot of things. I haven't really done cold calling a lot. I do like, for example, for sale by owners. I do, you know, if I go to the grocery store, if I go to the gas station, stuff like that, I always pass out my business card. But I do door knocking a lot. I did a lot of door knocking and a lot of open houses. And open houses is basically, you know, you open the house for a period of time, an hour, 2 hours, and you know, people come in and they look at your property, and you get their name and address, and you follow up with them. On the door knocking is basically, you know, reaching out to every door, knocking every door, and seeing, you know, like if they know of anybody that's interested in buying or selling, or are they selling, or you know, that's how you gather their information. Sorry, I have my little assistant here running around. Where's the bell? Sorry. Say hi. Say hi, Lile.
She wants to be in the video. So
yeah, she wants to be in the video so bad. Go play with your toys. Anyone else has any other questions or concerns? But yeah, door knocking, you can select a neighborhood. A lot of the times they say no soliciting, so you just don't knock on those doors. Kind of the same thing with cold calling. Jay Bond was one of my guests prior. He's really good at cold calling, and there's a do not disturb list, so you don't call those numbers. I mean, people reach out to you if they want to do business with you.
how can people? I mean, aside from Instagram, how available are you? Like, you find yourself at midnight talking to people?
Yeah, so actually one of my clients, I'm going to mention her name, Haley. She always tells me, do you even have a life? She calls me at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night and I answer her calls, or early in the morning and I answer her calls. I do have a life, but my job, that's another question. I mean, another answer to about the real estate. So just keep in mind that if you're going to do real estate, you're technically going to be working 24/7. It's not like an 8 to 5. Obviously, you're self-employed, so you do your own schedule. But if you really want to succeed in this business, you have to be available 24/7. Because the majority of my clients work 8 to 5 already, or 9 to 6. So they don't get off work till 6 o'clock. They're calling me at 7 or 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I have to be available to show properties, to answer the calls, or during the lunchtime. So technically I do work 24/7. Even if I'm on vacation, I'm answering calls or closing deals from far away.
How can we see listings for rural homes only?
Yeah, reach out to me. I can sign you up for that. I can sign you up for email alerts so that you can see properties in rural areas, specific areas if you want to focus on like Shandon, for example, or Santa Margarita or Shano, or all of them. Just reach out to me. I would love the opportunity to help you out. We also have what's called pocket listings. So sometimes sellers don't want to list their property. They don't want just random people going into your property. So we know that there's a property for sale and we can have it, we can show it to you. So reach out to me at any time. You can reach out to me on Instagram, on Facebook, or on my personal cell phone number, 805-286-6617. Again, 805-286-6617. You can call or text me.
Ellie Mari Lopez, who asked about the rural.
Yeah.
She says, sign me up for those alerts for rural property.
Yeah, send me your email address. I would love to help you out and send you that list. And
what's your email?
My email is super easy. I left everything really easy. I know it's kind of long, but it's realtorelizabethgutierrez@gmail.com. Again, realtorelizabethgutierrez@gmail.com. I kind of left everything pretty standard. My Instagram, my Facebook. You guys can go look me up on Google reviews and see my reviews there and see what I do on Instagram, on Facebook. Follow me and let me know how I'm doing. And I'm all about learning. So if I'm, for whatever reason, I accidentally do something or you guys feel like I've done something, please feel free to reach out to me. And because I want to learn, I want to know if I messed up on something. Obviously, I like to celebrate my highs, but I also want to, better myself on my lows. So it's very important that you guys help me out. You guys are my clients. You guys hire me. Technically, I don't hire you guys. So that's another thing that keep in mind, that you guys are the ones that hire your loan officer and your realtor. We work for you.
How long do you usually work with home buyers?
It depends. I just closed an escrow actually last week, and I've been working with them for over a year. And that's why I'm telling you, it's important to reach out and find out exactly where you stand, what you need, because guidelines and programs constantly change, prices change, rates have changed. I mean, you've seen it where during COVID, interest rates were really, really low, but there were so many people out there buying because they were jumping on that low rate, but now making prices go up, and now we have higher rates, but prices are starting to trickle down a little bit. I mean, obviously not a lot, because we're still in a really good high demand market. Paso Robles, Central Coast area is very well desirable. It's one of the top places people want to live here. So it is important to find out which market, where you're buying, learn the market, or reach out to the agent so that I can tell you exactly, hey, this is what's going on in this market. And sometimes if you're prepared, where it's happened, and when you're prepared and the opportunity comes in, I mean, I can help you in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on if you're prepared and if there's a property there available for you that meets your needs, basically. But sometimes it can take 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, a year. It just depends on the individual itself. And then also a lot of the times, people are kind of hesitant because, they're like, oh, my brother said to wait because the market's gonna, crash. Or, what, or, the prices are too high, I'm gonna wait. And then it doesn't necessarily mean that it's that process. Is just, continue with the following up, that eventually a year or 2 years later, you finally, decide that you want to buy, and then that's how long the process will take.
Ellie, my Lucas, sadly, people are just buying here in Paso to turn them into Airbnb.
Yes, unfortunately, Airbnbs or investment property where they're like fixing them up, flipping them, and making a profit. And it is raising our sales price, unfortunately, but there's still a lot of opportunity out there. And like I always tell my clients, start small. It's just starting off. Even if I just closed one, where they bought a house a couple years ago, and they bought it for, I don't know, I'll just throw a number, 100,000. Obviously, it's not 100,000, but I'm just going to throw a number there as a scenario. And then 2 years down the road, $100,000 later, they were able to pay off some of their debt and put down payment on a bigger house. So it's just kind of like a stepping stone, but it's just taking that initiative first step, basically. Because if you don't start, you're never going to do nothing. And I know this by experience. We get too comfortable with rent, that you're only paying $1,500, $1,800. But in reality, actually, we were just talking about that rents are at $3,200 for a 2-bedroom. So that's a mortgage payment. So, but people are not aware of that. They think, like, oh, I think they're more afraid of that commitment. It's kind of like when we were talking about that analogy where you're dating somebody and you live together and it's comfortable. But the minute that they're like, oh, would you marry me? Now it's like, marriage is a big commitment. And it's kind of the same thing with the housing market, basically, because you're kind of dating your rental. But the minute that you decide you want to buy, it's like a big commitment. And even though it's the same process that you're doing, people are afraid of making that commitment. So, yeah.
I think it was a good life.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for participating in my first live. I'm actually kind of excited. Hopefully I answered your questions.
Maybe we can do a listing next time.
Yeah, maybe we can do the listing. Reach out to me, send me your direct message. I'll start you with email alerts or a free market analysis if you have a listing that you want to sell. I would love the opportunity to help you guys out. It's a free consultation. There's no obligation. So if you're looking to sell, at least give me the opportunity to see what I can do for you. If you're looking to buy, the same opportunity for me to help you. I would love that opportunity. And hopefully we can work together with you guys in the future. So send me messages if there was any other questions that you guys wanted me to answer and I didn't get the opportunity to, or you didn't hear the question and the answer. Twisted Paso. Yeah, that's Scarlett.
Can you help someone buy out of state?
Yes, absolutely. So I have a good referral business. Refer out of state business. I work for EXP. It's a nationwide company. And I actually personally help family members buy and sell properties in Texas. And any state, just let me know. And I have somebody that can definitely help you out. I can send a referral business and we'll still be in communication. And we'll kind of work together as a team. And that's what we're here for. Thank you. Reach out to me, 805-286-6617. Again, 805-286-6617. Send me direct messages on Instagram.